Alex, this is a quick review of Castle Dangerous, which is the tune we reviewed during your lesson today on January 29th, 2021. And we reviewed the first 3 bars of the tune. And one of the things that we focused on was the timing in the first bar of the cut 8th note. So the first 2 notes of the tune are, right, a D throw and an E. But in the music, you'll see that the D throw is a dotted 8th note and the E is a cut 8th note. And then the note after the E is an F doubling. So it goes. And one of the things that we noticed when you set it up to the metronome, I have this set at 40 beats per minute, just like we did in class. And that E has to be quite quick because it's a dotted 8th note. So the way this grid is set up here is we've got beat 1 here, right? And then we have beat 2 here, and beat 3 is here, okay? Even though you can't see the numbers. 1, 2, 3, because this is a 3-4. And exactly halfway between beat 1 and beat 2 is an 8th note, okay? An 8th note delineation. So the space between here and here is the duration of 1 8th note, and the space between here and here is a second 8th note. But because the the D throw, which is the first note of the tune, is dotted, it's a dotted 8th note, so it goes for this duration plus a half an 8th note duration more. That's what the dot means. So really that tick mark, which if we could move it, we would move it halfway between the current tick mark and here, is where you need to play your E, yeah? And then the E gets a very short amount of time before you need to go to the next beat, which is the F. So the way that worked out when we were playing it, and you did this, if I say, ready, 1, let's do that again. Ready, and 1, and 2, and again, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 3, and 3, and 3, and so what you should be hearing there is how the E itself is not sounded very long before you go up to the F doubling. I don't think you necessarily need to do that with me here because it's in the recording that I will send a link to at the end of the video. I just want you to be aware of it. Turns out the rest of the notes in the line, the top line, have no dots or cuts, so you don't need to think about that anywhere else except that first bar, okay? The next thing that we discussed was the Leumluath, which occurs in the 3rd bar, right after your D doubling. Right, that's where it is. And it's always played from a D, all right? And a Leumluath comes from a D, low G, B finger comes up, then down, and then to your low A. And we talked about how that second low G in the Leumluath, right? This one. The one I just held very long. That one must be heard, must be sounded. Don't get off it too quickly. So that's something I want you to have an awareness of. Some of the things that we did included playing it slowly, right? Making sure that you are prepared for those low Gs. It means put the sole of the chanter down on a surface so that you're stable. One of the fingers that is very common to cause problems on low G movements when you're a beginner is the C finger. This one, it tends to roll around. So if you hear a low G that doesn't sound right, you might want to check the C finger. Okay, again, your Leumluath should sound like this. So something to be aware of. Make an exercise out of that. Pause the video. Do that on your own. And then actually that was it. Those were the 2 things that we talked about. So I'm going to put the link up here for you to check out Castle Dangerous at 40 beats per minute with the 8th notes in between. And I challenge you to do the entire first part, but we focused on the first 3 bars. Have fun.